In an otherwise dormant ready-to-assemble or RTA furniture industry, Bush Industries has re-engineered itself through a series of self-diagnoses, ranging from examining their internal manufacturing processes to the way they use marketing knowledge. Jim Sherbert is the CEO of Bush Industries.
RTA has really struggled, as the furniture business in general has. Been a lot of consolidation, a lot of outsourcing of manufacturing. There's an oversupply, like a lot of industries in America. They expanded heavily in the 1990s, came into the early 2001, and the demand declined. This company and most of the RTA business was very big in home products, particularly computer desks, those kinds of things. And once you've bought one, you don't need a second. And so it declined rather dramatically, over 20% per year for 3 or 4 years. That put a lot of strain on the company's cash, a whole industry's cash. And everybody struggled a bit there for a couple of years. Many companies have literally gone away or gone through what Bush has. And today we're doing well. We've been able to right the ship, pay down a lot of debt. We're strong in cash. Earnings are good. So far we've turned the corner. Now it's a matter of accelerating and assuring long-term survival. RTA is not typically seen as a high-margin product or a high-price value product in the marketplace. RTA is probably in the lower third of all furniture, and in some cases where some of it is really low-end at some of the discount houses, it's seen as the bottom end of the barrel. Our product sits at the higher end of the RTA model. Again, not because we charge more, but because the value we bring is better. And consumers tell us they're more confident that the product they've bought that has a Bush label on it is going to carry the value that they were looking for when they went out to buy something in the first place. RTA, by its very nature, is ready to assemble and is flat packed in a box. So it's much easier for the retail to handle through their distribution centers and their retail stores, and it's easier for the consumer to be able to pick it up and take it home or have it delivered as a package to their home or to their business and then be able to install it themselves. Every product has a life cycle, and every service has a life cycle. And you have to be comfortable with that, understand that, and know that everything is going to have an obsolescence at some point in time. Where are you in your life cycle? And we try to analyze every single product category in every product of our major products in that same kind of analysis. As we look to domestic produced or outsourced produced, it's based on where can we get the best value? What has the greatest complexity and the greatest speed to market? Those items we'll make domestically. Those items that have a greater cost advantage and don't have quite the complexity, we should outsource those and literally make more money in that process.
Ravi Nayar is Managing Director of UHY Advisors and leads the national manufacturing practice.
There are specialists in specific processes that have significant economies of scale as well as efficiencies for those specific processes that companies are looking at moving some of those processes that they are doing in-house and giving them to these specialists wherever these specialists are located. So yes, that is absolutely true, that it is not just a cost issue. It's also a efficiency, competency, and maturity of the process issue.
People are afraid of a global economy or outsourcing like it's the boogeyman. There's no doubt that jobs here and elsewhere have moved to developing countries because of a lower labor rate. There's no doubt that that's happened, and there's no doubt that that will continue to happen, whether it's China or India or Africa or wherever it moves to next, where there's a lower labor rate and you have relatively simple product that you can predict speed to market demands, then it just makes sense to source it in the lowest cost location, wherever that might be in the world. Where you have product that has a higher complexity or where it has a unique speed to market. There are some products that you don't know what that demand is going to be until just a few days before the demand hits. Those products need to be made close to your customer. The same thing goes with product that's terribly complex, something that has multiple components that have to be drawn into a finished good. Those products probably ought to be combined very close to wherever that consumer is. In our case, it's in a neighborhood of 50-50. Right now, we're about 60% of our sales are domestically produced, and we have the capacity to produce everything we have here just in case. So we're not in a position where we've oversourced or undersourced from Asia or from any other country for that matter. And I think it's a good balance, and I think companies should try to understand where their axis of value is in this speed to market complexity versus cost. We're not the first furniture manufacturer to go to China, so you follow the trail. There's a pretty wide trail. Once we got there, we tried to find companies that were compatible with our product mix. In other words, they understood the materials, they understood the supply chain, they understood the quantities, and had the capabilities then to meet our demand. We then went through and did these process audits to assure that they could consistently produce this kind of a product. We went through 20 or 30 different manufacturers, and we've now narrowed it down to 5 or 6 that we use as consistent suppliers out of China. We're also working with Vietnam. We haven't actually launched anything there yet, but they've actually got some very good factories. And we haven't done all of our audits yet, so we're not sure we want to commit to that. We've also used Eastern Europe, particularly for our German operation. They buy a lot of their materials from Eastern Europe, which is largely competitive with Asia.
When I look at the issues we've faced, or kind of the hurdles that we've faced, or the companies face doing this, when you start becoming a global company, you're spreading your value over a very, very large geographic area. So you have to have very, very good processes, very good discipline, and a culture of discipline that says, I understand what the processes are, what my behavior is supposed to be, and you've got solid mid-level management that can carry out these processes successfully. And then you've got to communicate and over-communicate. For example, we meet 3 times a week on a teleconference with Germany, China, and some of our other operations around the world. Realize it's 2 o'clock in the morning for some people and it's middle of the afternoon for others. But we meet a couple times a week to assure that we are all on the same cycle and understanding that the processes are in control and that we're behaving the way we're supposed to. And as a result, our performance is much, much, much less risky.
We have a technical team that goes through and works with each of the contract manufacturers that we have to be able to assure they have the processes in place to meet our demands. Not just demands for quality or demands for the product being made of the right materials, but that they pass social audits and they pass environmental audits and they pass human resource audits. We're not looking to be in an environment where there's child labor or where there's products being used that perhaps are not allowed in the United States for whatever reason. So we audit all of these facilities and we assure that these manufacturers can meet consistently our requirements for product quality. Then we have a quality team that takes over that manufacturing process. We don't run the manufacturing, but we take over their quality processes and teach them how to manage quality. And literally we have our people live at the factories. It's not uncommon in southern China, for example, to have dorms. And our people will live in the dorms and go to work every shift with the company employees and perform these operational quality audits.
I think the only thing I would say is have the courage to step back and look at your business from an objective point of view. Know where you want to go as a company. Know as a business model what's going to drive your success. And then put processes in place that you're sure you can control and don't bite off more than you can chew.
As you saw, Jim Sherbert and his Bush Industries team are capitalizing on a knowledge age phenomenon called process shifting or process sharing. Now, in the old economy, vertical processes like manufacturing or marketing and human resources were planned and executed within the typical company structure. But in the knowledge age, that model is shifting dramatically, where an internal purchasing department could become an ad hoc supply chain of outside resources, or where an internal product design group transforms into multiple outside design teams with unique capabilities. This strategy isn't just about offloading your internal functions. It can be quite the opposite. If you're a company with unique capabilities and specific processes, you can not only maintain these competencies, but more importantly, sell this expertise to other companies because of their intrinsic marketplace value. It's the new way of monetizing your company's embedded value. So, think about this. In the knowledge age, economies of scale are being replaced by economies of scope.